Hi, I'm Ainsley from A Mama with Trauma. Thank you for stopping by my page today. If you would like to like or subscribe, I would appreciate that. This is my own little corner of YouTube where I just talk about things that I'm always thinking about and trauma, motherhood, abuse, life, all of that stuff. So, thank you for giving me a little bit of attention today and coming over to my page. I really appreciate. I appreciate you. I changed my setting. I'm sitting on the floor. I thought the angle that I was doing these videos was a little, I don't know. I just wanted to change it up a little bit. Today, what have I been thinking about? So yesterday I had a situation with my daughter and my husband in the evening time. Uh, Usually with my daughter, nighttime things are very, very difficult. Brushing her teeth and that kind of stuff. And there was a situation where my husband was downstairs and he was just working on something, and I was taking care of our daughter. And usually between her and I, especially in the evening time, things get a little bit rough. There's a lot of crying. There's a lot of like defiance. There's a lot of negativity around that, and trying to create a nighttime routine for her is something that I really adamantly want to do. I adamantly want to create one for her, and trying to do that it's tricky. But she was crying, and my husband stopped what he was doing and came up, and there was just a shift in the whole situation, and I ended up leaving, and I don't know, like I felt like there was a huge shift because he came up and asked her if she wanted a hug, and she was all like, yes, I want a hug. And there was just like a really an emotional shift, and I could really feel it, but I didn't know how to like deal with it. It was really very challenging. So in that moment, I decided to just step away and go into the room, and he took her downstairs and read her or whatever. This morning, I really kind of thought about it, and I recognized in myself and for my husband, I mean, I'm not speaking for him. I am not speaking for him, but I recognize in myself, thus it affects him, that I have missed important markers on like feminine energy, like true feminine energy and femininity. And I'm not trying to talk about gender. I'm just talking about this concept of femininity and like softness, and almost like a space to become big, a space to become large, a space to expand, and in that expansion change, and I can't say if that is what feminine energy is. I don't know, but I recognize in the situation that I'm living in, I don't have that. I have this desire to like be and do this and act a certain way. Like I really feel it in my bones and inside of me, but every single time I expand and I rise to that, there's I'm meeting something that opposes it greatly. And this isn't like I'm blaming my husband. I just don't think he and I understand our own essence well enough. And I think I felt it mostly when I had my child, and motherhood really changed and really like pushed me in a new direction to like feel this expansion. And I know I didn't get the support at all that I needed, and I didn't know how to verbalize the support that I needed, which was very challenging, because like you have this, I had this feeling of this thing that I needed, but I have no idea how to articulate it. And I'm kind of sad about that. And so I communicated with my husband how I didn't like how last night went. It didn't sit well with me, and that at the end of the day, I am simply trying to be my daughter's mother, and that how I am her mother is not up for debate, as far as like how I love my child, the way that I love. That's not up for debate. I can't change the way that I love and I think and I care and I handle our child. I can deal with like personal trauma and like not carrying generational trauma onto my child, but as far as like my character and my identity and my personality, those are things that I cannot change just because they might not sit well with him. And I think it was very eye-opening to see that. It was so eye-opening to experience that in that moment of, hey, I don't want you to, when I'm handling that situation with our kid and she's crying and she's basically mad because I'm giving her some instructions, and that's normal, and just trying to create a way of handling things a little bit more healthy, instead of crying and throwing a fit and that kind of stuff, like just communicating like, hey, I'm kind of upset about this, or that kind of stuff. I'm trying to do that, and in order to do that, I can't be interrupted while I'm doing this process with our child. While I'm doing this process, I'm in this midst of teaching, I'm in this midst of learning this whole exchange and trying to shape it and make it into something more healthy and whole for her and I. And I articulated that to him, and he got it and he understood. But I also recognize that there's still on his end is so much confusion as far as like who he needs to be and the role he needs to play in his child's life. And it saddens me. It saddens me because part of me wants to be like, well, you X, Y, and Z. But I also recognize it's not my job. It is not my job to like guide him or be his mom or tell him what to do or any of that. Like that's not my position. And I also recognize how easily I have put myself in that position because of my trauma. Because of my trauma, I've literally for years, for 14 years, tried to fill that. Tried to step in and give instruction and do this. And then resentment comes around and he gets mad at me for doing that. So it's like this back and forth. But I realize I can't help him. I can't fix him. I can't give him the answers. I hope for him to figure it out. I pray he figures it out. But he has a lot of learning and a lot of seeking, and all I can do on my end is hope I wisely teach my child how to harness her own femininity and stand strong in that, stand courageous in that, stand boldly in that, still be that expansion of what divine femininity is, but also be able to move in the world without that flame being extinguished. I was raised in a home of like so much masculinity. Like even my mother was a masculine figure. Like when I sit in therapy and I do like intense work, there's not a thread of any feminine energy that I can recall. So now, as I am doing this, it's so organic and raw, and it's very deep. To find this energy for myself, I have to go so deep into myself to find it. It's almost like I'm not really one to quote the Bible, but this verse literally just came to me, and I couldn't tell you which one it is, so please don't. But it talks about not moving a boundary line, and that shouldn't be done. And in this moment for myself, I've like my boundary line that were there when I was born were immediately destroyed. They were immediately trampled over with all of these different things. And doing this work to get to find the foundation of my core self, my spirit, my core being, the work I am having to do to find this, to connect back to this femininity, this basically the essence of me, just who I am, what I have inside, what I walk around with on a daily basis, and the power of that, and connecting with that, and in a healthy way. It just, I see why we are given a lifetime. I see why we are given a lifetime to do this work, because it takes a lifetime to figure out. And in this moment of like listening to my husband say he's just confused and he doesn't know and all that kind of stuff, and there was a moment where I kind of like took responsibility for my own self. Like one of the things in my trauma I struggle with is knowing when to take help. That was he took it out of context, and I could feel it. Like I could feel him take it and just like twist it into something else. And I was like, man, it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad that that's what he has to do to like feel better or figure himself out. And I wish him well, but I hope he finds an understanding of what masculine energy is for himself. I just know that I have to continue to keep communicating and setting my boundary up as far as like my own energy, and especially with my child, that's not something he gets to come in and overstep. And I see that now, and I see the importance of that, and that's definitely something that I'm willing to protect and fortify. It's like building a bridge to my child and helping her build a small bridge to me and be able to go back and forth on that bridge. Anyways, whew. I'm Ainsley from A Mama with Trauma. Thank you so much for stopping by on my page today. I will see you soon. Bye.